I'm Charbria Shine, and welcome back to Max Out Girl. Alright, so we are continuing our Spring Fling Series. I have my husband again with me for the Spring Fling Series. But before we get into it, go ahead and subscribe below. Turn those notifications on and share this with someone that you feel like it might be a blessing to. So let's get into it. Okay, so last week we encouraged singles, right? Who might be like, what? They want a spring fling, like, where's my husband, Jesus? I'm ready, right? And so we wanted to encourage them. And so we talked to them last week. Now, today we want to encourage the married couples, not the singles, the married couples who might feel like, I need to keep the spring in my fling with my husband or my wife. I need to keep that spark going. And also singles listen to this too, because it can give you some insight, as we talked about last week, starting to just see what marriage is about, what it takes, some insight into the married life. So let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about it. So it's spring, we want to keep that fire going in our marriage. We want to keep that love all year round. But since this is a Spring Fling series, how do you keep that fire? What advice would you get to keeping that fire, that passion in your marriage relationship? What are some things someone can do?
Well, in the midst of your busy life, you have to make sure that you set aside a time for your marriage. I know one of the things that we do that helps to produce the fire is you also have to sow into like your marriage on a spiritual level. And so every Monday we do a Marriage Monday. Currently, we're also doing a marriage class that happens online in our church. So those are just different ways that we continue to sow into our marriage on a knowledge basis, because sometimes, we can get to the place where we feel like we know it all. But if you find yourself in that place, you definitely don't know it all. That's a telltale sign that you don't know it all. So you have to do things to ignite your marriage, to put knowledge into your minds and your hearts so that you can know how to do marriage. So I think that's the foundation of, igniting your marriage and keeping the fire going. But then also, even outside of that, you have to have date nights. You have to continue to date your spouse. And so I know our night is Thursday, and I know we've been very busy, and it can really, life being real busy can sometimes get you to a place where you don't have time for that. But you have to recalibrate yourself, and you have to set those dates aside as non-negotiable days that you're going to hang, or even if it's like a time. So if it's you work all day and you pick a day during the week and say, okay, 7 o'clock, we're cutting it off and we're going to spend some time together. You have to do that on purpose, because if you don't, then it's not going to be good for your marriage.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think the biggest thing I got from what you said is be intentional. Like you said, set aside time. You have to be intentional, because I feel like sometimes we could feel like we're good, we're married, everything's cool, and you just don't put the time into it to just continue to build on intimacy. And there is, like he said, for us particularly, we're extremely busy. We are entrepreneurs, but we're always working, we're always doing something. And something else for us that could be interesting is that we actually work together in our businesses. So we're together a lot. And so sometimes those are things that we have to intentionally be like, okay, we're not gonna, and we had to do this because we can talk about business 24/7. We had to say, okay, we're cutting it off. Like, I had a bad habit of, if we're going out to eat, we're spending quality time, watching movies, I'm bringing up like business stuff. I'm asking questions. I got this idea. And it's like, my brain would never shut off because I'm always thinking business. But it's like, okay, I started to feel like we were coworkers, right? Or like I'm his employee or he's my employee. And in a sense, I guess we work together, but you still want that passion. At least I do, and I know my husband does. We want that passion in our marriage. Like when we first met, we weren't working together, and when we first got married, we weren't either. And it was that passion, like, because we had 2 separate jobs, we were doing different things, and we just made sure we put that time. So now that we're together most of the time, we really have to be intentional about, okay, like he said, Thursday night, that's date night. Get all cute, look good. We're not talking business. That's just us dating each other, just, building on that intimacy, building on that passion. And so I feel like the intentional date nights are great, and make it non-negotiable. Like sometimes we found ourselves like, oh, we tired, or, oh, we got something else. We're not going to do it this week. Even if you're tired, it could be a movie night. You know, it could just be, you know, you sit in the bed, cuddling, you having sex. I mean, whatever it is, again, we're talking married couples, whatever it is, you know, just make that time for that passion. And I feel like, you know, we've heard a lot of times that men are like microwaves, women are like slow cookers when it comes to like sex and being aroused, and to each his own, everybody's different, right? But overall, they say, like, so for me, I notice I have to be sold into, like, you know, with the romance, with him being intentional about, you know, not just wanting to be physical, but also, you know, romance in my heart. And, you know, we always laugh because, like, when he said something, it was like a funny video where every time the guy said something sweet throughout the week, it was like, cha-ching, point one. And, like, his points added up. So by the end of the week, she was, like, all ready to have sex. It was funny. But the thing is, too, I feel like we have to learn each other's love languages to kind of feed into each other. And Gary Chapman has a great book entitled The 5 Love Languages. Is great. They talk about, you know, learning your partner's love language, because it could be like what? Quality time, physical touch, acts of service, receiving gifts, and I can't remember the 5th one. But get that book and like learn each other, like what is your love language, and so into that. And women, we gotta keep it sexy too, because sometimes, you know, I be working, I be around with my sweatpants on, you know, like my little t-shirt, and then I, you know, and then I have to remember, okay, shoot, like, you want him also to be attracted to you, and that doesn't mean you have to walk around in a thong 24/7, but that just means there needs to be times where you're intentional about putting on something sexy, or intentional about wearing something sexy under your outfit that day, so you could give him a little tease in the car. You know what I'm saying? It's to each it's their own, like how much you feel comfortable with. But really do spend time trying to arouse your man, like doing little things. And sometimes, I'm gonna keep it real, when you get busy, when you got all this stuff to do, you're trying to cook, you're trying to clean, you're trying to keep, you know, your schedules, you're trying to do work stuff, you're trying to do family stuff. If you got kids, that's a whole nother thing. I understand. That's why I feel like you probably have to put in your schedule. You might even have to put in your schedule sex night. Some people are like, I ain't doing all that, but when you get busy, honey, sometimes you got to schedule stuff, okay? And so in your mind, you remember, okay, yeah, tonight I'm wearing this. You know what I'm saying? So just being intentional. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think, you know, she talked about as far as the women having to, you know, stay sexy and do certain things or whatever. On the men's side, you got to do that as well. For the men that may be watching, I know this is an audience of women. Well, I'm gonna talk about it anyway.
Yeah, share with your brothers and your cousins.
Right. It might be some men watching, but on our side, you know, we have to do things as well. And this is pertaining to anybody, but I'm just gonna talk from my standpoint. Yeah. You know, there's things for me, like I've gotten more serious about my grooming, because sometimes you can just let, you know, yourself kind of go. You're like, I'm married now, and you just, you know, you're comfortable around the person, and it may not mean that you're on purpose letting yourself go, but you just get comfortable, and so you just life happens and you don't. So the thing is, you just got to be intentional, because if you're not intentional, things are going to slip. That's just how it's going to work. You have to be intentional. So for me, you know, I was like, you know what, I need to step my grooming up. So there was times where I would let 3-4 days go and my hair is just like prickly because I keep it bald, and then my wife would say something about it, and I'm like, okay, like, you know, and you know, that's the place where you could either take it personal and get offended, or you could say, you know what, she's right. You know what I'm saying? And so you really have to bring yourself to a place of maturity to react that way, because it's not always easy to react that way. Yeah. And that comes really from your own personal devotion with the Lord, and taking that on purpose time to grow yourself as an individual, because if you don't do that, you're no good with the person if you're not good by yourself. If you're not good strengthening yourself. So for me, in order to strengthen myself in the grooming area, which, you know, number one, it's a foundation of who I am and my love for myself. You can't love someone else, like, you know, if you don't love yourself. So you got to start there. And so for me, I had to watch videos about grooming. Like, I would be in the morning, you know, in my mirror, grooming myself or whatever, and to empower myself, my inner person, and strengthen myself as to how to do certain things, or why do I do them. Yeah. I watch grooming videos of how they shaving, how they keep their mustache. I ended up going out and getting some trimmers so I can cut my nose hairs and my ear hair, because you probably all seen people where it's just out of control coming out of their nose, and it's like starting to curl up coming out of their ears. I've seen it, and that's not attractive. You know what I'm saying? So those kind of things, like, you have to, like, if you don't know, it's okay. or maybe you don't know, but you don't do it. So it's almost like hearing the word of God. You know, faith come by hearing. It's like as you hear things, you strengthen yourself in that. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the same concept and I'm gonna watch some grooming videos of some of those guys that's real sharp. They keep their beard tight, just lined up. I want to be like that because not only do I like that to be sharp as a man, but I know it'll be a blessing to her. Yeah. So I start watching stuff, and so now I have a regimen. Every single day at 8:30, I'm shaving my head. And sometimes I might run over, you know, because, you know, I do the kitchen in the morning. That's just one of my responsibilities. If I'm running a little over, I'm going to get something in. Yeah. And not to be too graphic, not that it is graphic, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like, I got to keep my chest hair shaved. Now, some people,
taco curly meat coming out.
Listen, some people like it like that, and maybe some of the women like it. Each his own. My wife, she'll say something. So for me, I got to make sure I have a regimen. So every week, there's a day that I cut my chest hair. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So those just things that you have to, it may seem like a whole lot, but if you put it in your schedule and you have a time where it's a non-negotiable, at 8:30, I'm going in the bathroom, and that's grooming time. I'm grooming from 8:30 to 8:45. So that could be cut my hair, it could be cut my nose hairs, it could be cut my chest hair, it could be shaving my beard and lining it up. But that time is what it's going to be, and you slot that in. So for ladies, it might be I got to do my eyebrows every week on Monday morning at 8:00,
or shave our legs.
Or shave your legs. Maybe you're shaving your legs once a week, or if it grow real fast, maybe you say, hey, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I make sure I shave my legs in the shower. Yeah. Or whatever it is. But if you're not intentional, like that fire is going to go. And to keep the fire, it's a lot of different areas, you know. Yeah. But you don't want, like, you know, if things happen, so you got to have grace for your spouse. But if my wife doesn't like my chest hair and I let it grow real long, that could be the thing that turn her off. and that's the night we want to get it in or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I got like 2-inch long chest hair or something. And then it might try to take the buzz out, you know, but you want to be on your best behavior, on your best self. You know what I'm saying? So those are just a little tidbits. You can pay me later.
Yeah. But again, we're not saying you have to be perfect.
No, you can't.
The thing about it is, like, I appreciate about my husband, like, he gives me grace. So I don't have to be around here prancing around 24/7 and boy cut shorts, lace, you know, and I don't have to do that 24/7. However, you know, I know he does like that. So I am intentional about certain things that I do, right? It's not all the time, because sometimes he could tell you I'm most comfortable, but we're going to get personal. I'm most comfortable one way, but let's say I'm second most comfortable in my sweats and a little tight tank top. And he don't care. Like, he's like, whatever, it's cool. Like, you still cute, you know, and I don't shave my legs every day. And he's like, cool, whatever, you know. So he gives me grace. I give him grace. You know, we're not real anal like that, but we are intentional about pleasing the other with our physical appearance. But also, it doesn't have to be where you're trying to guess either. You can ask your spouse, like, what do you like? I'm good about asking that. Like, what do you like this? I'll ask a lot of questions. But he's like, just do what you want. You know, he doesn't have so many answers, but you know, also you can ask the Holy Spirit to show you what's something I can do. And sometimes the Lord will show you, like, you need to dress sexy tonight, or you need to be cute, or you know, Lord show it something like you need to get back to how you used to be, you know. And so just being intentional about that, asking your spouse, what do you like? Because look, everybody's different. Some men might like hairy legs, right? Some women might love a hairy chest. So you have to ask your spouse, like, what do you like? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that you don't have your individuality, that everything you do has to be about your spouse. No. But as loving this person that you're with, you should want to please them. Hopefully that's part of why you married them, not just about yourself. So you should want them to smile and to find pleasure in you, and to, you know, to keep that spark alive. And ladies, like I said, you got to be intentional, doing that little cute, sexy stuff, planning things out to wear, to do for your man. Again, find out what he likes. That's between you two. So
yeah, it's good stuff. You know, it's here's the thing. If you're watching this, you're already married. You're married. So now you have to. You can't just let it just be what it is. You know, marriage shouldn't be something where you get into it and it just gets worse and worse. It should get better and better and better. So in that, it should be a challenge for you to continue to grow yourself. Mm-hmm. because now you have another person to consider. But you considering the other person should be an overflow of you considering yourself. Like, you should love yourself enough to clean yourself up.
Yeah.
Get yourself together. Put something nice on. And maybe you don't have the wardrobe you want to, or whatever the case, but use what you got.
Do your best.
Because, it's almost like this. It's almost like a car. You can have a nice car. You can have a messed up car, but when you put some rims on that thing look nice. Or
wash it.
You ever seen people, their outfit just ain't the best, but they throw some $300 sunglasses on, and it just set it off. Or some messed up outfit with some Jordans or something. Here's the thing.
Now, we ain't suggesting that.
I ain't
Get
suggesting.
some Payless shoes and have a clean outfit on.
What I'm saying is do your best, okay? Do your best with what you have. Maybe it's wrinkled. Go iron it. It'll make the outfit. Nobody wants something that's...
Hold on now. My dress might be a little bit.
Well, I don't see. That's exactly what we're talking about. Listen, though. Do the best with what you have, because the effort is much appreciated.
Yeah.
It's
not about perfection. It's about just being intentional.
Yeah, throw iron to that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Throw some perfume, ladies. Make you smelling good. Fellas, too. Yeah, both. Smell good for your spouse. Like, before I go to bed, what do I smell like when I'm in the bed?
Yeah, you want to.
I always make sure I'm smelling good. And it doesn't even matter if, I feel like we're going to have sex tonight or not. I just want my husband to smell something pleasant. I want him, when he smells me, I want it to be a great experience.
You got to have a standard about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be because, she liked that, so I'm going to do it. I mean, you can do that. What I'm saying is, it comes from a different place when this is who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's self-care, self-love.
You change. You continue to take care of yourself. You shave your underarms.
Some women don't. So, but
well,
that's what they do, and that's okay.
If that's what the man like, you know what I mean. But when you're in a marriage, sometimes it can be tough. But you got to consider the other person. You got to
compromise too, because we don't always agree on like stuff that I might like for him or stuff that he might like for me. Particularly in hair, we've had it out a little bit about hair preferences. However, I feel like we both compromise.
Yeah, we compromise. I mean, I guess, for me, I'm more of it is what it is. I won't really trip. I'll say what I have to say, but I ain't gonna really trip. I just let the Lord get her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just let the Lord do it. You know what I'm saying?
I let the Lord get you.
I cast my cares on the Lord. I go talk to him. He know how to change her. Nah, for real though. But
that's true though.
You got to do that.
We do that.
But, I mean, I think it's, it depends on how you are with one another. Yeah. If, for me, I'm just really more easygoing. Like, I honestly, a lot of times I care more about what makes her happy than what makes me happy.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying? And I believe that when you're that kind of person or you have that kind of relationship, you're going to end up being happy. Yeah. Of course, somebody wants the other person to just prefer them in everything. Walk this way, do this or whatever. And that's exaggerating.
That's kind of controlling,
but I'm not saying that. Just an example I brought about. But, that's just not what it is. And I think that people need to have the freedom to be who they are. Yeah. And that's honestly, that's in the very shallowest of things, like their personality. Who they are is who you marry. Like, don't try to change who they are. Mm-hmm. You like that for a reason. So let them be that. Don't change the nature of who they really are. That's who they are. I'm not talking about that's not the same as what they wear or how they treat you. Those are different kinds of things. It's just if that person likes to laugh, why get mad at them because they laugh all the time? Yeah. That to me is now we're talking about stuff that you're probably gonna end up needing counseling for because you're infringing on who the person is, the person you fell in love with, the person that you liked in the beginning that used to make you happy. You don't like that now. So I think for me, like, I have to check myself sometimes because I'm pretty sensitive to the spirit, meaning that I'm like, okay, don't do that. Yeah. Lord say don't do that. Yeah. Like, leave them alone. Or, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Let them be who they are. Let them do that. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to say something about everything.
And I've had to learn that. Because I feel like I was more boisterous about things, right? Like, I would, little things that I was like, oh, that's irritating. Or this is, and I have to realize, like he sings a lot and he whistles a lot, but that's the joy of the Lord. So at first it was annoying, the whistling. It was annoying at first because when I'm focused, I want things quiet and but I'm like, that's not right of me to steal his joy either I got to get used to that or just go in the other room. It's fine. But there are certain things about each other that we may not love, but this is who they are. Like, you have to learn to compromise. And I felt really bad when I would like kill his joy. And I'm like, that's really not what a wife's supposed to do. I'm supposed to add to his life. So I had to learn a lot of things didn't have to be said because I was always speaking my mind. And again, these are things we're still talking about keeping the passion alive. What I noticed, and he noticed too, that the enemy would do with me was have me say something right before we were about to have sex. Something smart right before we knew that night was going to be a romantic evening, and I would say something that irritated me, and it would mess the whole night up. So use wisdom. Let the Holy Spirit lead you, and everything doesn't have to be said or said at that moment. Like, if you know you have a date night plan and you got some big issue, wait till the next day. It's probably going to mess the mood up. So, just using wisdom in that. And again, if you're single and you're listening to this, it's good to listen to this kind of stuff too, because it gives you an idea of like, okay, when you're dating, everything for the most part seems peachy keen. Like, especially if you're trying to do like we did, we wanted to honor God in our relationship, in our courtship, in our marriage. So we didn't have sex until after we were married. So of course, the passion gonna seem irresistible. Like, you just, wanting to do everything with each other. But then when you get married, the enemy wants to fight that. So you have to fight to keep that passion going, to keep that love going. And it's just maintenance. You know how it is. You get a new car. If you don't keep up with the maintenance, that car is going to break down eventually. Same with marriage. And unfortunately, sometimes men don't want to go to counseling. And it doesn't mean that something is wrong. It's just maintenance. Just check up. And sometimes when we watch like our marriage classes we're in, or we discuss it, or our Marriage Monday and we discuss it, that's helpful because sometimes you'll find out something that's broken in the marriage or something that has been wrong that the other person has not spoke up about. That's a quick fix. But if you let that thing drag on because you're not having maintenance in your marriage, then it can destroy it or weaken your marriage. So it's so important, just to make sure that you are maintaining it. And again, if I'm talking to singles, same thing, just learning now these things so that when you do get married, if you desire a spouse, that you realize, okay, yeah, we gotta, we have some maintenance in our marriage, go to some marriage conferences and events. Have a Marriage Monday like we do, or whatever you want to do, where we spend maybe 30 minutes to an hour watching something on marriage and discussing it, whatever those things are, making sure you have those intentional date nights, intentional sex nights, whatever it is, like that's so important. So
it's good stuff. And the last thing I'll say is, she mentioned if you are single and you're watching, like for me, a lot of the stuff that I operate in now in marriage came from the on-purpose investments that I did into my own life and into my heart about marriage and about the word and what God says about marriage and learning from other people that were married. So it's not to say that when you get married, you just know it all or you won't have any issues or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you want to learn about something before you don't want to jump in the car and you ain't never driven before you don't have a license. You want to take driver's ed. You know what I'm saying? You want to learn what this thing on the dashboard means, or what do you put it in to drive? You don't put it in reverse. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the same thing, and that's a small example, but it's the same thing with marriage. You want to learn about what is marriage and where did marriage come from?
What's God's purpose?
What's His purpose?
What's His intent?
You don't want to just jump in it because I like her or like him. He cute, she cute. Her favorite color is
well, he can help pay the rent.
He can help pay the rent.
Not a good reason.
You know what I'm saying?
Married.
Or he can pay my Boost mobile phone bill. Whatever. I'm just saying. You want to take the time when you're single to learn, and then if you're married and you say I didn't take that time, you can pick up books in your quiet time and learn, and God will redeem the time and catch you up, just as if you learned everything before that moment.
And like you always say, preparation is never wasted time, but also just knowing that you should prepare, but there's some things you won't know even if you prepare until you get into that marriage. Because this is an individual and I'm an individual and you don't know everything about them. You're getting into marriage and you're learning them. And to me, I didn't know some stuff about myself, y'all, until I got married. And I'm like, ooh, I need to work on that. So again, he's right, prepare before, but that's why it's so important when you're in it to continue to learn, because some stuff you just weren't ready for because you didn't know that was going to pop up in your marriage, or you didn't know this was going to pop out of you when this situation came about. So it's so important, as he said, to prepare before and while you're in to have that marriage maintenance. So again, y'all, this is Spring Fling.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that romance going. Dress sexy. Have fun. Find out what your spouse wants, what they enjoy, what turns them on. Have those date nights, that intentional intimacy time where you're just talking to each other. Sometimes people call it pillow talk, or, you know, just when they come home from work, just recap, how was your day, babe? You know, just being considerate. But most of all, enjoy marriage. It's supposed to be fun. We know there are challenges, but in anything that's worth having, we know there's some work with it. But really enjoy it, have fun, you know, really be each other's best friends, really have each other's back, even in the hard times. Pray for each other, you know, talk to each other, lean on each other, forgive each other, have grace for each other and mercy, because we all need it. Again, it's not about perfection, right? So again, we just hope we said something that, you know, just encourage you guys. And as you all know, you can follow me at Max Out Girl, at Charbria Shine, at Lewis Shine. You can go to my website, charbriashine.com, for my books, resources, courses. Go to events on my website. We have our May 19th Self-Love Empowerment. Woo-hoo. So it's going to be a panel of speakers. We're going to talk about self-love, healthy relationships, mental health. We're going to have a makeup artist there. We're going to have certified reflexologists massaging the hands. We're going to have a back massage therapist. So much, right? Vendors, food, fun, picture booths. Fun time. So it's only $25, May 19th. You don't want to miss it. So again, make sure that you subscribe below, share this with someone, turn on your notifications. And as always, we hope we said something that encouraged, inspired, and elevated your thinking. And always remember to max out, girl. I'm Charbria Shine. My husband, Lewis Shine. We'll talk to you next time. Bye, guys.